Welcome back, everybody, to another unfortunate Peeping Tom episode of Lockdown 23-1. That's right, we got some tree-jumping Peeping Toms in the courtroom today. For those of y'all that don't know exactly what a Peeping Tom is, it's someone that could possibly be in your bush or a branch in the tree looking into your window while you're in vulnerable time, right? You don't want nobody looking or peeping at you like that. The question here is, who's Tom? Because, my name's Josh. And, I hear that term all the time, just joshing around, and it makes complete sense. The majority of Joshes that I've met throughout time is funny, jokes, plays, and pleasant to be around. And it leaves me wonder, man, the saying really fits the bill. So I'm just curious, any Toms out there? Has anybody ever thrown peeping your way throughout your life? Oh, Peeping Tom coming around again, y'all. Hide y'all's wallets. Well, I guess maybe close your blinds, not really hide your wallets. Either way, let me know all them Toms out there, man. But yeah, we're going to witness this Peeping Tom get sentenced, not to mention a strong-arm robbery, I believe, to go with it. Two completely separate cases. And one last thing, I do apologize about these recent 3 or 4 day hiatuses I've been having between videos. April was a very busy month for me with all these birthdays, not to mention I've been handling some other things behind the scenes. That's gonna help, if I were to guess, this channel grow dramatically. Now, with all that being said, let's get right into it, ladies and gentlemen. If you enjoy all things lockup and crime related, then this is where you want to be. Hit that like, subscribe, notification bell before you leave, and check out my playlist with many more videos for you to start watching today.
He's pleading no contest today to true indictment 2014 GS 46-3106 for the offense of Peeping Tom. This is a negotiated plea for a negotiated 18-month sentence with credit since June 6th.
All right, Mr. Kaiser, I have some questions for you. First of all, how old are you, sir?
23.
And before you were incarcerated, what did you do for a living?
I had my brother-in-law.
Speak up.
You got to speak up a little bit.
I would help my brother-in-law clean the houses and stuff.
And how far did you go in school, Mr. Kaiser? How far?
9th grade.
All right. Now, do you understand what you're charged with today?
Yes, sir.
Have you and your lawyer been over the charge and all the elements of the crime, that kind of stuff?
Yes, sir.
So you understand, if I were to max you out upon my acceptance of the plea, you could get up to 3 years in jail. You understand that?
Yes, sir.
All right. Understanding what the charge is against you, as well as the maximum punishment you can receive, your lawyers indicated to me that you wish to plead no contest. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
All right. Now, do you understand what a no contest plea is?
Yes, sir.
Tell me what you think it is.
Uh-oh.
You ain't saying that.
Okay. You're not, that's correct. You're not contesting the charge against you. It's not an admission of guilt, but you're just not contesting it against you. Do you understand that?
Yes, sir.
Okay. But you understand, for sentencing purposes, though, I treat it as if it were a guilty plea. Do you understand that?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you.
I think that's how we all look at it, no contest, guilty, it's all the same. You're going to the side pocket, Smokeville, USA. But in all actuality, it really is not the same. And it could make or break you in turn of events later on down the road.
The state had gone to trial and would have presented evidence that on June 3rd, 2014 at approximately 12:30 a.m., police were dispatched to 630 Arch Drive, which is located within Rock Hill, within New York County, South Carolina, in reference to a Peeping Tom. The victim would have testified that at about 12:30 a.m. she walked down the hallway and was standing by the microwave close to the back door when she looked, and within feet of her at the back window contained in the back door was the face of a man that she did not recognize. She became very upset, immediately told her brother, who was walking down the hallway. He ran outside without really much of a description of who he was looking for, but he did locate a short distance away a black male who he did not know, who was in the neighbor's yard, and had a conversation with that person. That person claimed to be on the neighbor's property for a lawful purpose. The brother, not realizing that he was possibly speaking to the suspect, let the person go, and upon that person fleeing the scene, he noticed the person had a red collared shirt. And that brother would testify that it was not until he went back inside that he learned from his sister that the man that she saw looking through the window was a black male who was wearing a red collared shirt. Other witnesses from the house would have testified that they were running around trying to locate the person, that a black male in a red collared shirt came back to the scene and tried to retrieve a bicycle, which had been left on the scene as well. The occupants of the home would have testified they did not know this person, that he did not have any legitimate right to be on their property. And the court would have seen in court's exhibits aerial photograph that shows that this back window was well situated off of the sidewalk, and there should be no reason for any stranger to be back in this location.
Alright, so first and foremost, I think everybody needs to understand this, man. Prank or not. If you're 18 or over, or even a juvenile, I wouldn't do it these days, but peeping in windows can send you straight to a cell block. The prosecutor's shooting for 18 months, but the judge can give him up to 3 years, just because he decided to look in a window that wasn't his. It's crazy to think that that's all it takes, but really, anyone doing something like that is up to no filthy good. Imagine this guy looking at your old lady. Maybe she's in her birthday suit going down the hallway, and he just registered every inch of her into his database to take home with him, right? That's the same kind of concept as in prison, man. You gotta make sure no one's looking at you while you're taking showers and stuff, peeping toms. I call them drive-bys, you know, inmates like to walk past the showers, take a quick glimpse, and keep it moving. While you're soaped up, man, can't see nothing with all that soap in your eyes. Peeping toms everywhere, I promise. And then there was a cell block in jail, Virginia Beach jail, and they would have a tier, so anyone walking in a particular spot on the top tier could see directly in the showers. And sometimes, you know, I'll be in the shower and I'll turn around, I'll see someone glancing in. When you look at them, they turn their head, and you know it's a group of us in there. Why are you even looking down there, period, bro? Like, keep your eyes out the shower booth. You know, you gotta be careful, man. These eyes, they be peering. But yeah, seeing this dude looking at my old lady, man, I'd have a problem too. Sounds like the guy handled the situation appropriately, though. You know, he let him go. He said, hey, yeah, I was looking for this house or something, I think they said, and he just let him go. You know, a lot of guys would have just attacked him right there on the spot.
Police developed Mr. Cowser as a suspect. Following day, they brought back a photo array containing his picture, and the victim identified him as the person that she had seen looking through the back window. And again, they confirmed that they did not know him and that he had no legitimate business for being on the property. The state would have additionally presented evidence that Mr. Cowser, some 7 hours earlier, had bonded out of city court on a city court charge, wearing a red collared and striped shirt. And we would have offered some evidence regarding that shirt being very similar in appearance to the one the victim had seen. Additionally, we would have offered the testimony of an officer who recognized from a prior encounter with Mr. Cowser the bicycle that had been left at the scene as belonging to Mr. Cowser. That's the extent of the facts, Your Honor, and we have his prior record if the court would like to hear that.
Well, what if the guy came and said, honestly, I was just looking for my buddy's house. He told me to use the back door, but it was locked. So I was checking the window to make sure I was at the right house. I've never been there before, man. You know, I don't know, something like that, but who knows? The courts probably wouldn't have eaten that up, not one bit. With the bike, the collar, jumping around from yard to yard, you know, I don't know.
And I would like to say, for the record, Your Honor, the reason for the negotiation of the 18 months was after a lengthy conversation with the victims this morning. We had been prepared for trial and ready to proceed to trial, and I know the defense had been ready as well. And the victim asked that we consider something that would help this case not go to trial. She just sincerely did not want to testify.
The allegations, those are the allegations as we understand them. Certainly would have had some issues pre-trial and with the testimony of the witnesses. I believe that the negotiation in this case is appropriate given the stance of the victims and witnesses and given the time that he has served since June the 6th. I think it's an appropriate sentence. Mr. Cowser was willing to agree to that. I would ask the court simply to follow the negotiations of this case.
My question now to y'all is, if you didn't do it, and I promise you many people have to go through this type of situation, but if you know for a fact you didn't do this, but everything seems to be going against you and they come at you with a plea deal, 18 months, probably with a little probation, will let you out. But if you want to just keep on fighting this, we're shooting for the whole 3 years. You know, I was in that situation with abduction. They told me to take a plea deal for 20 years of probation, something like that, with no time to do. Just plead guilty. You know what I did, man? I wasn't guilty of that trash. I fought it tooth and nail to the very end. I don't care if I got sentenced to the max. I didn't do it. I'm fighting it, and I beat it. So when I see stuff like this, people taking pleas for things that, you know, they're saying they possibly didn't do, it makes me think that they did. Because me personally, I would never take anything that I didn't do. Anytime, I wouldn't take it. I would fight it to the end. Unless it's like something extremely petty, you know, like I don't know, something extremely petty. Not no felonies, that's for sure. I'm not taking no felony if I ain't commit it. I got enough on there that I did commit. So let me know, what would y'all do? Take the 18 or fight it tooth and nail and risk the 3 years?
All right, I found the negotiations to be reasonable. And Mr. Cowser, on indictment 14 GS 463106, I sentenced you to 18 months in prison. Credit for keep your time served from June 6, 2014. Good luck to you.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Well, there you have it, 18 months for peeping in a window. But once again, anybody doing these type of activities, man, they got some evil desires on their mind, or it was just an honest mistake. Or possibly, like the story I'm about to tell you, me and my buddies, we used to do Delta missions in the neighborhood. Get completely camo-fied with camo face paint, everything. And we would do pranks throughout the neighborhood, right? And one night, you know, we decided to do a little window peeping. I'll never forget, man. This guy was like 3 houses behind my parents where we lived, right? And I knew who lived there. It was this old guy. We used to ring and run his house all the time. One time he got smart, man, and because we were ring and running it so much that he hid in his truck and recorded us doing it. Took the footage to my dad. Yeah. But before all that, man, we did a little Peeping Tom on him. You know, we were gonna mess with him, knock on some windows, run off, you know, camoed. You know, we were like 12 or 13, man, just fooling around, you know, no kind of nasty intentions involved. Nowadays, though, juvie or not, man, I wouldn't recommend anybody peeping in no kind of window. Might get a canal blast right through your forehead. But moving on to the next clip, this is actually the same individual, all right? We learned that you could get like 3 years for peeping in Tommen. Also, you're gonna have to register as a sex offender, I guess, in some cities, counties, states, whatever. And the defendant that just got sentenced is coming back into court for not registering as a sex offender. He's ashamed, man. A lot of these guys are. You know, your shame will send you right back to prison. Better let your freaking neighbors know what kind of filth you've been involved in. Welcome back, sir.
Just a minute.
Man, he got a teardrop tattoo now?
Pleading no contest today, Your Honor. The true bill indictment in 2014 GS 463861 for failure to register as a sex offender. That is a first offense, Your Honor, carrying up to 365 days. Held in court by my count, Mr. Cowser has served 235 days since the Peeping Tom arrest, 250 days since the bond revocation, but only 47 days since the direct indictment. We understand this is an issue, Your Honor, that's not squarely addressed in the statute that explains when a person is entitled to credit for time served, and this would be within the court's discretion. But I would just tell the court that the state would ask that he not be given credit backdated to June, and we would respectfully request a sentence of a year. We'd like to see Mr. Cowser go back down the road. He, as Mr. Hayes said, he apparently bounces from place to place. It's not the intention of the sex offender registry to allow a person who's been convicted of an offense like this to live wherever he wants to live without reporting it to law enforcement.
That's it. And we'd ask the court to give him credit for the time he's done since June the 3rd on this case. I believe the charge only carrying 365 days. I believe he served enough time, and I also tell the court that we have scheduled a trial. It's at least on the trial board for June or for February the 9th in 2 weeks. And so the reality of the matter is, regardless of what happens today, he's not going anywhere. We do contest the charges on the Peeping Tom. We are slated to have a trial. I would ask the court to give Mr. Cowser a time served sentence on this case and allow us to try the peeping. I think it would be somewhat counterproductive to send him to the Department of Corrections just to have him turn around for a trial in 2 weeks. And when I think he's certainly done enough time on this charge, Your Honor.
All right, so it looks like this guy might have had a plan from the beginning. He said no contest during the sentencing, but it seems like now, he wants to go double back and do a trial. And like the prosecution said, they spoke to the victims. They came to an agreement on what would be best for sentencing, and so did the judge, but he's taking it to trial again. And that right there in itself, if you were to ask me, if I was a prosecutor, did all that work, and the judge went along with it, I myself would be mad at this guy. Not to mention wasting all those taxpayers' dollars, right? I don't know, that's how I'm looking at it. But she wants to give him a year for not registering, What if he does get that year and takes it to trial and beats the case? Then was he get some money back for that year that he did?
Now you understand that your conviction for failure to register will look the same on your record. There'll be a conviction for failure to register.
All right. I'm gonna give him 12 months. I'm gonna date the sentence start date being June 27th. His bond will go. That's what I'm gonna go with. Have a specific reason that's what I'm gonna do. That's what I'm gonna do.
Give him the 12 months. Just follow the smoke trail again, once again, buddy, once again. But I believe the wording in this sentencing is everything. You heard how the judge said 12 months instead of 1 year? When I was doing time in Virginia, they said months, that means you stayed in the jail. If they said a year, you're going to prison. It's weird how it works, but believe it or not, that's how it went. So if I were to guess, the judge said 12 months instead of 1 year to keep them in jail so they ain't got to do all this bussing around getting them from the prison to come back to trial. You know, save a little bit of money. Diesel for them buses can be pretty expensive these days. But let this be a rude awakening to all those prolific Peeping Tomers. You can definitely be sent to prison and forced to register as a sex offender. Alright, last but not least, like I said, a quick clip showing a little sentencing of an armed robbery. I'm here to tell you I haven't seen this yet, but if I were to guess, even with very minimal criminal history, you're going to be looking at like 10 to 15 years. So if I were to guess, it's going to be somewhere around then.
House until he found the bedroom where Mr. and Mrs. Williamson were sleeping in their bed.
Oh,
The
man.
defendant woke them up at gunpoint demanding money. Mr. Williamson informed him that all of his money was in his truck outside. The defendant then forced Mr. Williamson out of his residence at gunpoint. Upon reaching the truck, the victim, Mr. Williamson, opened the door, took out his wallet, and handed $98 in cash to the defendant.
I wish I could take it off back, but I can't. Main contributing
Oh,
factor
man.
in this was the fact that I was introduced to hard drugs at a young age. But I know that's no excuse for what I've done. What I did was very uncharacteristic of me. And again, I want to say I'm sorry to the victims and everyone here today. It's time for me to grow up and face the consequences of my actions.
Yep.
And that's what I'm prepared to do today. All I can do now is pray and ask for forgiveness.
Type 2018 GS 46 6466 armed robbery. Says he be committed to State Department Correction, term of 15 years for 336 days.
I knew he was going to get 15 years, man. I'm trying to tell you. I've seen so many people get smoked for so many variations of crimes. Sitting in jail for so long, man, you see all kinds of situations. But one in particular you see a lot more than others is strong arm robbery, man. I seen a homeboy get smoked to prison for beating someone up in the sub block and stealing his cookies. Strong arm robbery right before he went home. And in the jail I was in, believe it or not, you know, it's a Commonwealth. So something serious happens, you start bleeding and stuff like that. They always ask you, do you want to press charges? To the inmate. And you know, if they do, they'll take them right down to the magistrate, which is right at the bottom floor and booking of the jail. And one inmate can press charges on another. And that's what happened. Homeboy was about to go home, like I said, and got slapped with a strong arm robbery for some chocolate chip cookies. But that's a wrap, ladies and gentlemen. Hopefully you enjoyed today's episode. Learned a couple things along the way. One, don't be peeping in Tom, and even if you think you got the wrong house, man, don't be looking. And number two, keep your strong arm away from robbing anybody. Use that puppy to work a 9 to 5, right? So, yeah, you know, if you watch my content and still decide to do what you do, you deserve every drop of smoke that comes your way. I didn't have stuff like this to watch to let me know how much time I was facing. But I'm out of here, ladies and gentlemen. Like I said, I'm still working on something behind the scenes that I think is going to help take this channel to a different level. I'll let you know exactly what it is when it's all said and done. But once again, if you're new to the channel and enjoyed, hit that like, subscribe, notification bell before you leave. And as always, y'all be easy, be safe, and more importantly than anything, stay free.